Combating human trafficking in Nigeria is one of the priorities of the federal government, as evident in the enacting of the Trafficking in Persons, Prohibition, Law Enforcement and Administrative Act in 2003. It was amended in 2005 and then reenacted in 2015. Human trafficking is a complex crime that goes beyond national borders, therefore requiring the cooperation of international police to effectively stem the tide of the menace and bring it to its knees. Human trafficking is a sad reality that also affects Nigeria. This 6th Global Conference hosted by Nigeria for the first time is an opportunity to highlight the importance of a uniform approach to combating these organized crime syndicates. Only through coordinated efforts can the perpetrators be apprehended and the victims protected. Human trafficking refers to all acts related to recruitment, transportation, sale, or purchase of individuals through force, fraud, or other coercive means for the purpose of exploitation. It is just another name for modern-day slavery. Almost a third of all human trafficking victims worldwide are children, according to the Global Report on Trafficking in Persons released in December 2017 by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. The same report states that women and girls comprise 71% of human trafficking victims. According to the International Labour Organization, the ILO, around 21 million people are victims of forced labor globally. And out of these, a significant number are also human trafficking victims. Sadly, Nigeria is a hotbed for this menace, as it is a source, transit, and destination country for human trafficking. A daily challenge for Naptip investigators is identifying and apprehending suspects of human trafficking. It is even more daunting when you are faced with victims that are not willing to testify against the trafficker for fear of reprisal. Human trafficking in Nigeria started in the early 80s with a record high influx of migrant workers from the West African sub-region, especially Nigeria, to Italy, to work in the then booming tomato farms and other industries. The migrant workers were paid well for their work, and with the expansion of the tomato farms and industries in Italy, the migrants saw an opportunity to invite their siblings, relatives, and friends to come over to Italy and benefit in the lucrative tomato business. The fortunes of the tomato farms dwindled a couple of years later, and with no tangible work in sight, some migrant workers cashed in on yet another window of opportunity made available by the growing rate of crimes and criminalities to make quick money. They got involved in illicit drug trades and small arms, dealing in collaboration with the dreaded Italian mafia. Soon, some of the Nigerian migrants workers who felt they could exercise a reasonable degree of independence in Italy went on to form an organized crime syndicate that came to be known as the Nigerian Mafia. At this point, they operated in parallel with the Italian Mafia and with a level of lawlessness that made them clash with the Italian mafias from time to time. The Nigerian Mafia went on to diversify their operations by including exploitative sex trade as part of their business functions. They would come back home, recruit young girls, and take them to Italy to serve as commercial sex workers. The International Organization for Migration estimates that over 10,000 Nigerian prostitutes work in Italy, many of them victims of human trafficking. One of the first signs that brought these issues of human trafficking into prominence in Nigeria was when in 1999, about 64 Nigerians were deported from Italy for their involvement in prostitution and illegal residency. Later that same year, another 83 Nigerian girls were repatriated from Italy. Furthermore, about 450 trafficked persons were deported to Nigeria from Saudi Arabia in the year 2000, hence creating a lot of concern to the Nigerian government and other stakeholders in the society. The hue and cry that followed the deportation from Italy of Nigerian girls who were trafficked for commercial sex was unprecedented. The concern that the federal government showed was understandable, as civil societies, non-governmental organizations, community-based organizations, religious organizations, and traditional organizations stepped up the campaign against modern form of slavery that stares the nation right in the face. Prostitution is in no way a job like any other. It is degrading, torturous, and exploitative. On the side of the prostituted, there is a lot of horror and disgust, which they have no repress in order to get through it at all. Consequently, I would like to call on the EU to, as a matter of urgency, adopt the Nordic model, just like France, Sweden, Iceland, and Norway, as a means to contain the prostitution of irregular migrants. The madams who benefit from the proceeds of this crime are not in Nigeria. They are resident in the EU countries, and not more than 5 kilometers away from them, they are victims. Please go after them aggressively. Women Trafficking and Child Labor Eradication Foundation, WATCLEF, sponsored a private member bill, the first of its kind, to the National Assembly for passage into law. The bill was subsequently passed by the National Assembly on the 7th of July 2003, and the Nigerian President assented to it on the 14th of July 2003. The law took effect immediately, giving birth to the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, Naptip. The agency, which is the creation of Trafficking in Persons, Prohibition, Enforcement and Administration Act 2015, as reenacted, is a response of the federal government of Nigeria to addressing the scourge of trafficking in persons in Nigeria and its attendant human rights abuses in its entire ramification. It is also a fulfillment of our international obligation under the Trafficking in Persons Protocol, supplementing the United Nations Transnational Organized Crime. To this end, Naptip is fully committed to the prevention of all forms of human degradation and exploitation through the coordinated use of the nation's crime prevention and law enforcement resources to stamp out human trafficking and to liberate and uplift the vulnerable, especially women and children, from dehumanizing and exploitative employment and usage, and to ensure their rehabilitation and effective reintegration into the society. The agency's program and operations are based on its strategic priorities as categorized under its 5P strategic approach on policy, prevention, protection, prosecution, and partnership. Policy, the foremost and cardinal approach to the fight against TIP deployed by the agency, is the development of policies towards the elimination of the crime. The Naptip communication strategy is a document produced to guide the agency's relationship with its various partners on different issues relating to trafficking in persons. Guidelines of national referral mechanism provides the baseline for the referral of human trafficking cases, particularly arrested, suspected human traffickers and rescued victims of human trafficking from Naptip to other organizations within Nigeria and vice versa. The standard operating procedure, the national policy on protection and assistance to trafficked persons in Nigeria, guidelines for the protection of children in formal care, Naptip training policy, strengthening and coordinating the implementation of regional and international treaties on TIP, keying into the federal government's policy, which set up the Inter-Ministerial Committees on Human Trafficking for more effective coordination of the fight against human trafficking in Nigeria. Establishment and resuscitation of Nigerian-Benin Joint Technical Committee on Human Trafficking to ease the arrest of traffickers and rescue of victims in Nigeria and Benin Republic. Prevention, we have programs on TV. We have Naptip on the Move, which shows on NTA International every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. We've sustained the public enlightenment activities in schools, motor parks, borders, and other endemic areas. We are waiting for the final approval right now from the NEC for trafficking in persons to be infused in the primary and secondary school curricula so that we can catch the children young. We've sustained public enlightenment activities. Every Thursday, we go out to endemic areas, and we've decided to extend it from Mondays to Thursdays to have a very, very, effective fight against human trafficking. And this is not just in Abuja, but in all other states that are very endemic in human trafficking. We established the Naptip Training Resource Center, equipped with the support of the German government, where we train not only Naptip staff, but we also create awareness and programs on human trafficking. Establishment of anti-trafficking vanguards and Naptip focal groups with youth corps members, the orientation camps with our partners like Wardcliffe and so on, schools and colleges. We have the media campaign against TIP on social media platforms. Naptip has reinvigorated its fortress on the new media, such as the Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, YouTube, and so on. The agency has leveraged on the social media platforms of human trafficking ambassadors and campaigners within the civil society organizations, with a combined total of over 1 million followers and still counting. We've ensured the spread of Naptip presence across Nigeria, as we have established 9 zonal commands cutting across all the geopolitical zones of the country, namely in Benin City, Enugu, Kano, Lagos, Maiduguri, Makurdi, Osogbo, Sokoto, Uyo, with the liaison office in Port Harcourt and in Yobe. Protection. Naptip has rescued and rehabilitated over 13,000 victims of TIP, and we've empowered a good number of them with formal education, programs, and vocational trades for a meaningful living. It is key to note that out of the numerous numbers enrolled in formal education by Naptip, 5 victims rescued by the agency have successfully graduated from various universities in Nigeria under the agency's sponsorship, and 3 were employed by Naptip on the 1st of September 2018. Development of a national policy on protection and assistance of trafficked persons. Establishment of 9 shelters across the country with a cumulative capacity of about 300 bed spaces. Remodeling and continuous improvement of the agency's shelters to provide quality services to victims of trafficking. Training and certification of officers of the Counseling and Rehabilitation Department in order to professionalize the social work in the agency and improve the quality of protection services delivered by the agency. Prosecution is the 4th pillar of the agency's operational strategies. The agency has so far arrested and investigated 5,019 suspected human traffickers. We have prosecuted cases which have led to the conviction of 359 traffickers. We have reenacted the Trafficking in Persons Enforcement and Administration Act of 2015, which provides stiffer punishment for trafficking in persons. And we also promulgated Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act in 2015, which is operational in the FCT for now. The agency has charged numerous cases to court under the Act, and so far 3 convictions have been secured already. The constant training and retraining of investigators and prosecutors on anti-human trafficking investigations and prosecution techniques. Partnership. Naptip maintains a cordial and functional relationship with the following organizations: United Nations agencies like UNICEF, UNODC, IOM, UNIFEM, UNICRI, ILO, and so on. International organizations, IOM, Interpol, IBA, EBA, Terre des Hommes, embassies, Italian, American, practically all the embassies, law enforcement agencies, the NIS, NPF, NDLEA, EFCC, NSCDC, NCS, FRC, DSS, military, and so on. NGOs like the Ideal Renaissance, NACTA, Wardcliffe, Wocon, Rehoboth, and so on and so forth. Relevant government ministries, departments, agencies at the federal and state levels. These partnerships have yielded the following successes. Effective collaboration led to Nigeria's existing MOU with the following countries like the Netherlands, which led to the Operation Coolvis and Counterintelligence Exchange Program. Mali, we had an operation which led to Operation Timbuktu, Italy, Benin Republic, Finland, Spain, and so on. The mainstreaming of human trafficking, which I earlier mentioned, into the national curricula of schools, which is also a product of Naptip's collaboration with the National Education Research and Development Council, NERDC. Strengthening of technical and operational cooperation with many countries on mutual legal assistance, joint investigations, joint prosecutions, particularly with the UK. Naptip collaborated with the British government's National Crime Agency to establish a joint border task force for enhanced intelligence-led detection and mitigation of human trafficking at the Nigerian international airports and land entry points. The team was also trained and equipped within collaboration with IOM towards the evacuation and reception of stranded Nigerians, including trafficked persons, in different countries, including Mali and Libya, in different batches. Establishment of the National Stakeholders Consultative Forum on Trafficking in Persons, which has been convened 23 times since inception to periodically assess the level and effectiveness of human trafficking intervention efforts in the country for future programming. We've had a robust engagement with the media, and also we engaged with the private sector. The establishment of the Naptip Rapid Response Squad, one of the strategies of the current management that is worthy of note. The RRS has been able to react swiftly to public complaints and credible information received from members of the public. This they do by leveraging on a number of platforms, such as the Naptip Whistleblower Policy link on the website, anonymous complaints, intelligence reports from sister law enforcement organizations, and so on. Naptip is collaborating with the Austrian police and European Intelligence Agency, Europol, in intelligence gathering and operations towards solving human trafficking crimes that have multifaceted crime scenes. Just recently, operatives of the Naptip Rapid Response Squad acted on intelligence from the Austrian police, successfully undertook a joint operation involving the Nigerian Police Force and the Department of State Services, DSS. Strengthening of the Intelligence and International Cooperation Unit for effective service delivery, restructuring of the Joint Border Task Force for effective service delivery. The Naptip NCA UK initiated the Joint Border Task Force, a laudable initiative that was birthed through the bilateral consensus between Naptip and the National Crime Agency of the UK. It has provided a platform for Naptip officers to have their presence at the international airport in Lagos, and we hope to replicate this in all other airports. We've engaged the embassies and foreign missions. We've engaged the federal government to strengthen its political will towards combating human trafficking, the creation of a response unit, and specialized training for personnel. The contributions of the Interpol organized crime networks, especially human trafficking, cannot be overemphasized. Naptip has benefited immensely from the various activities of the Interpol. We have received credible intelligence that has led to searches, arrests, and seizures of all grades. We have participated in conferences and expert group meetings. The capacity of Naptip manpower has over the years been enhanced by the Interpol, equipping and repositioning the agency's officers and men for effective and efficient service delivery with a high performance in work ethics in line with international good practices. Naptip is grateful to the Interpol for such laudable initiatives that seek to advance the cause of crime fighting. Terrorism, human trafficking, and migrant smuggling have been dealt a big blow by Interpol's coordinated crime-fighting mechanisms, although much still needs to be done. So far, so good. Thank you, Interpol. Finally, I want to assure you all that as a model anti-human trafficking law enforcement agency in Africa and worldwide, Naptip is willing to do more. We can do more, we want to do more, and we are ready to do more to combat the human trafficking menace and usher in a new era of hope in the society. As I appreciate you most sincerely for listening, I implore you to please join hands with Naptip to eliminate human trafficking. I thank you for listening, and God bless you.